She apologized for everything. For taking up space, for asking questions, for speaking too softly, for speaking too much, for existing in moments where she felt she shouldn't. It wasn't that she liked apologizing. It was that life had taught her people stayed longer when she made herself smaller. She grew up in a house where mistakes were not allowed. If she dropped a glass, she apologized. If she disagreed with someone older, she apologized. If she cried, she apologized for causing trouble. And even when nothing was her fault, she apologized just to ease the tension. As she got older, "I'm sorry" became her second heartbeat. She said it at work when someone bumped into her. She said it to strangers when they interrupted her. She said it to friends when she couldn't fix their problems. Her voice always trembled a little, as if she was waiting for someone to tell her she was too much. Her friends told her she was sweet, kind, easy to be around. But no one realized her sweetness came from fear. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being the reason someone felt uncomfortable. She became the girl who walked quietly into rooms, taking up as little space as possible. She folded her feelings like clothes and tucked them neatly away so no one would trip over them. And when she needed something, she convinced herself it wasn't important enough to ask for. One day at work, she apologized 3 times before noon for being in the hallway, for correcting a file error she didn't make, and for someone else being late to a meeting. Her coworker joked, "You apologize more than you breathe." Everyone laughed. She smiled along, but something inside her felt bruised. That evening, she sat alone in her apartment. The silence was soft but heavy. She replayed her day in her mind, wondering why those 2 words lived so close to her lips. She whispered to herself, "Why am I always sorry?" The question felt dangerous, like stepping into unknown territory. She tried to remember the first time she apologized for something that wasn't her fault. She couldn't. It was a habit older than her earliest memories, a survival skill she had inherited without choosing it. Her phone buzzed, a friend venting about a small inconvenience. She typed, "I'm sorry you're going through that," even though she had nothing to do with it. She hovered over the send button. For the first time, she hesitated. She deleted the message. Instead, she wrote, "That sounds really hard. Do you want to talk about it?" It felt strange, uncomfortable, like she was using a language she had forgotten. But it also felt right, like she was unlocking a part of herself buried under years of apologies. The next day, life continued as usual. People bumped into her. Someone cut in front of her at the coffee shop. A coworker snapped at her for no reason. Her instinct was to apologize, to smooth the moment, to make herself invisible. But she didn't. She breathed first, counted to 2, and chose silence. It wasn't easy. Her chest tightened every time she didn't say sorry. The old fear returned. The fear that someone would get angry, or leave, or think less of her. But nothing happened. The world didn't collapse. People didn't walk away. They barely noticed. Over the next week, she practiced small rebellions. When someone interrupted her, she said, "I wasn't finished yet." When her coworker blamed her for something, she calmly corrected them. When a friend took her kindness for granted, she didn't rush to reassure them. She felt shaky every time, but a quiet strength began to grow inside her, small but real. One afternoon, her manager handed her a project she didn't have time for. She opened her mouth to say "I'm sore," but stopped. Her heart pounded. She tried again. This time she said, "I can't take this on right now. My plate is full." There was a long pause. She braced herself for disappointment, but her manager simply nodded and said, "All right, I'll give it to someone else." That was it. No anger, no judgment, no punishment. She walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and stared at herself in the mirror. Her hands trembled, but she felt powerful. For the first time in her life, she saw someone worth protecting herself. Slowly, apologizing stopped being her default. Instead of "I'm sorry," she learned to say, "I didn't like that. I need a minute. That hurt my feelings. I can't do this right now. This is important to me." Her world changed in small ways at first, then in big ones. Some people didn't like the new her. They missed the girl who bent until she broke, the one who absorbed everyone's emotions like a sponge. They called her distant, selfish, sensitive, but she didn't shrink for them anymore. She started attracting different people, people who respected boundaries, who valued her voice, who didn't see her softness as permission to take advantage. Her friendships grew deeper. Her days felt lighter. Her soul felt safer. One evening, she visited her childhood home. Her mother made a comment that once would have shattered her confidence. Instead of apologizing, she said gently, "That hurts me when you say that." Her voice shook, but she did not look away. Her mother froze, surprised. But after a moment, she whispered, "I didn't realize." It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a beginning, a tiny crack in a pattern decades old. Later that night, she looked at old photos of herself at different ages, always quiet, always small, always holding herself as if afraid to take up too much room. She felt a familiar sadness, but also a fierce tenderness. She whispered to her younger self, "You can stop apologizing now." As she walked home under the city lights, she realized something profound. Her worth was never tied to how little space she took. Her value was never measured by how many apologies she gave. Her existence was not something to be sorry for. She stood a little taller, breathed a little deeper, and for the first time, she felt like she truly belonged in her own life. And from that day on, she didn't live small anymore. She lived honest. She lived whole. She lived without apology, because she finally understood her life was meant to be lived, not apologized for.